Alrighty, so we got a really good fight here. It's our first card back from the little quarantine hiatus. But Uncle Dana's putting the fights back on, keeping everybody happy. Uh, really respect what Dana's doing at the moment. He's hustling. He's rich. He doesn't need to do this. He's just hustling to put on some fights for the fans. He wants to watch some fights himself. So he's just a fight fan just like us, but he's the one that can actually do something about it. And he's putting it on for the fighters as well. Obviously, if they don't fight, they don't get paid. So it's good that they're fighting. And yeah, if you're complaining that Tony has to fight Gaethje now instead of Khabib, then you just don't get how it works. Um, Tony isn't on a salary. He fights to earn his living. Same with Justin Gaethje. They're not just going to pay him their fight wage for not fighting, and then just for showing up. They're just not going to do that. That's just not in their contract. It's never been in their contract. They would never make a stipulation for that because it would just be stupid, and that's not how you run a business. And the UFC literally needs to be afloat, or else these fighters aren't going to make any money. Or they can go to Bellator and make fucking whatever Bellator makes. But yeah, so it's a good thing that they're getting Tony to fight. Yeah, if you're complaining that Tony has to fight Gaethje before he has to fight Khabib, then you just don't get it. But anyway, we'll break down this fight. It's actually a really good fight. It's probably the most violent fight ever, like on paper. Obviously, it might not be fight of the night at the end of the day. Maybe it's an early knockout or something. But on paper, these are two of the most, hard to finish, violent guys in the ring. And they both bring a hellish pace. Alright, so some X factors in this one. So Tony actually brings in a 7.5-inch reach advantage. Gaethje has pretty short arms, but that's where he gets the power from. Those short, stocky arms. He has tight hooks. Yeah. Tony is a bit more long. Doesn't use his length completely to his advantage. Let's say he doesn't rely on it. Also, yeah, with this virus situation going on, I'd say it favors Tony Ferguson compared to literally any other fighter, because he's very disciplined in the way that he will train without a coach. He doesn't. I don't even think he really has a head coach. I think he runs his own training camp. So he's very disciplined in that way that he doesn't need someone looking over him, and he doesn't rely on somebody that could be in a different state. Maybe you know what I mean? Like some fighters might have a coach in a different state. They can't cross borders. They are just taking phone calls to do some workouts, telling their fighter to do some workouts. Who knows if the fighter's going to do that? I think Gaethje is still training with his coach in Denver. But obviously with training partners and all that, it's going to be a bit more weird. A lot of people won't be coming into the gym. But Tony does a lot of that work by himself, and he works on his heart and his conditioning just in his lonesome. So I think this situation just favors Tony. Just an observation. Obviously it's not going to be a huge aspect of the fight. Still, the styles are going to clash, but it is just a thing taken into consideration. And Justin Gaethje, he does have a good coach in Trevor Whitman. I'm not sure if Rose Namajunas will be in the camp, so he's probably getting a lot of attention from Trevor at the moment. Coach wise, he's probably the only fighter Trevor's coaching at the moment, so that's good. And so he relies on breaking opponents. Ferguson very hard to break, of course. Let's see if he can do that. I doubt it. Ferguson's probably not going to be broken by a few leg kicks. He's probably just going to switch stance. He'll do something, but yeah, we'll see how that goes, because Ferguson does have that knee surgery. That's his lead knee. He had surgery on that lead knee, and then we'll see how that holds up, because he did rush that recovery. Obviously, he's a different beast than your average person, but still, you do need to recover from those types of injuries. You can't just... There's no magic formula for that, really. So we'll break down Justin Gaethje first and his striking techniques and his tendencies. Look at Tony Ferguson, man. His forearms are bigger than his biceps. Anyway, so Justin, he'll start the fight off with like volume leg kicks. You saw that in the Edson Barboza fight. Just pretty much every fight, he starts off chopping at the legs. Even Edson Barboza, who a lot of people thought was the best leg kicker in the UFC. And Justin went toe-to-toe with him. I'd say even won that little proxy war in the fight when they fought. So yeah, he'll shell up when his opponents are kind of bombing on him. So that in the Michael Johnson fight, so that Eddie Alvarez fight, pretty much every fight doesn't really change the style very much. He's obviously had a few quick wins in his last few fights, and a lot of people think he's changed his style up a little bit, but we haven't really seen too much. We haven't seen it when the going gets tough, see if he reverts back to those old habits, because the going will get tough in this Tony Ferguson fight. So we'll see if he, maintains this, cool, collected style, a bit more patient, a bit more, working for his shots instead of just swinging them out. So yeah, we'll see this, because Tony's definitely going to push him and, maybe take him back to those old roots where he just covers up and looks for that big overhand. And yeah, so Gaethje, pretty much he does try and push you back. He does try and stay on the front foot. Tony is, I've never seen him take a step backwards in his whole UFC career, so it'll be interesting to who gets on the front foot in this fight. I think it will be Tony. But that could be bad, because then he's walking onto Justin Gaethje's leg kicks. Because, Tony does have that awkward movement, but he doesn't really have... He has semi-awkward footwork, but mostly he's just kind of stepping in with the lead leg. And you kind of know, because always followed by the jab. Or the jab is followed by the lead leg movement. So once you get hit by the jab, you can just start spamming those leg kicks. And if Justin's smart, then he'd probably start doing that. And he is, Justin is he's got good fight IQ, so he makes reads pretty decently. He just kind of has that primal side of him that kind of lets him down in a few fights against some like real superior fighters. But yeah, so you've seen him, when he was versing James Vick, he pushed Vick back to the fence, and he tried to get Vick, because there's only two escapes. There's the left or right. You can't go forward, you can't go back. So he was just trying to get Vick to take one of left or rights, and then Vick obviously chose wrong. I think Vick circled to his right, and then walked into Justin's overhand right. So that was the end of the night for Vick. And yeah, so also when his opponent circles right, but doesn't have to be near the fence, but just when they circle right. So when he's on the front foot, they're circling right, he'll look for that leg kick. Saw him landed that multiple times on Michael Johnson. Every time Michael Johnson would move to his right, Gaethje would just hit him with that low left kick and kind of cut him off. I think it dropped Michael Johnson a few times, just because it was the momentum just got taken out from the lead leg. And with Tony, so he has those like unusual combinations. You don't really see them very often. He'll throw like a lead uppercut to like a straight right, or a jab to a left hook with the same hand. So you never really know with Tony. Or yeah, he'll do a teep and then jab you at the same time. So it's not exactly fluid, or no, it's not fluid. That's not the right word. It's not exactly traditional. That's probably the best way to describe it. Also, he stands up very tall. Gaethje stands very tall, but only when he's, kind of tired, because he's opening up his lungs, just trying to get some breath, just trying to get some air back into him. But mostly Ferguson does stand pretty tall, and he does use head movement a lot. That's probably his main form of strike and defense, which he does have pretty decent strike and defense. But it can look pretty scary, because he does get pretty close to getting hit by these big bombs. But he rolls with punches pretty well, parries pretty well. But obviously he just uses head movement at all ranges, even in the pocket, to just evade strikes. And it's not something your coaches would advise you to do when you're starting up at MMA. But he's obviously made it work, and he's got a really good record doing it. And he hasn't taken too much damage in his career. Also, he'll come at weird angles. He'll come like about 45 degrees most of the time. He's not really in front of you unless he's got you trapped against the fence. Like, that's what he was doing with Pettis, and then he didn't even bother getting the angles because Pettis wasn't even moving off the fence. He was trying to cut the cage off for Pettis to make him move out to Pettis' right, but like Pettis didn't even like take it. Like Pettis he was just done. He just physically quit. And Tony has really good elbows. He likes to cut up opponents with that. Another thing about Gaethje is that he does have that wrestling in his back pocket, which he never uses. But yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to use that in this fight. I'm not sure if he wants to use that in this fight because Tony does cut you up from the bottom. And Gaethje just generally doesn't really use his wrestling. Mostly only defensive, has a good sprawl. He's got decent scrambles. Saw that in his PFL career. Oh no, not PFL. World Series of Fighting. I think that's it. World Series of Fighting career. But when he does get taken down, or when he does get like tripped, or just kind of mat returned, he will give his back, just a basic wrestling instinct. He'll give his back to get back to his feet. So that could be danger when you find Tony Ferguson. And with Tony Ferguson, he has really good grappling as well. I think he's a black belt under Tony Bravo. Oh, what's his name? Tony Bravo? Eddie Bravo, that's it. Who's Tony Bravo? I don't know. But yeah, he's a 10th pound BJJ black belt. Likes to control the wrist from the bottom. He's got big hands. He can control your wrists really well. He'll pull you out to one side, lock up that triangle. Especially when you're tired on top of him, like Kevin Lee was. Like, it was pretty easy to lock up. If Justin gets tired, tries to go for a takedown, or maybe Tony pulls guard and Justin falls into his guard, it could be dangerous for Justin because you cannot be tired and then sit in Tony's, guard. So he's pretty quick to lock in the Das as well. I've seen that a lot of times. In the Barboza fight, locked it up super quickly. Bernarda fight, snapped down Bernarda, locked it down, and pretty much the transition, in the motion that he was using to snap down Bernarda, he kind of locked in the Das in the same kind of grip. So he's pretty quick with that. He gets it in pretty quickly, so you can't just be slacking like on the ground with Tony Ferguson, which is what I'm scared Justin will do if he gets tired, if this goes into the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. Also, yeah, Tony has a really good initial scramble. After that, he can be controlled on the ground, and you can land some decent ground and pound on him because he is looking for his own offense. So he's not really thinking defensively. So how these guys win their fights? Justin Gaethje, he's got a granite chin. He's got one punch KO power in his right hand. He's got forward pressure that he brings to mostly every fight. It's not sure it's going to be the case in this one. He seems to have developed patience in his game. He's sort of picking his shots better. He's actually got a pretty nice stiff jab. When his opponent's closing distance, he just kind of meets him with the jab. It's pretty nice. It marks up his opponents pretty well. He's getting Poirier with that a lot, actually. So he's got a good sprawl. Talked about that before. Alright, so Tony Ferguson, how does he win? I've got it on 2 fucking different pages. Why did I do that? One moment. Yep. So he has heavy forward pressure as well. Kind of likes to break opponents with the pressure because he's just constantly in your face. He's kind of relentless with that. He's also got incredible cardio. Yeah, probably up there with one of the best cardio, gas tanks I've ever seen, like volume-wise. Obviously, people have a lot of, better gas tanks when it comes to the grappling or something, but his volume does not drop at all over 5 rounds. Also, he feints a lot. He's got good striking defense, talked about before. Rhythm manipulation. He won't let his opponent get a rhythm. He won't even let himself get a rhythm. If he has a rhythm, he'll stop it. He'll slow the volume down just to, if he's hitting shots, he'll slow the volume down himself just so his opponent doesn't get used to anything. He's also got a good shin, good recoverability. Can get dropped a lot. That's just due to the style, comes with the territory. Has low-key good power when he sits down at his punches. And you could see him do that in this fight because, what's his name? Justin does cover up a lot and stands there like a fucking scarecrow when he gets tired. So you could see Tony actually sitting down on his punches, which is the first time he's done that in a while. When was the last time someone gassed first Tony? What did he do to him? Oh, Kevin Lee or subbed him. Guess Venata kind of gassed, just kind of subbed him pretty quickly. Yeah, I guess he hasn't sat down on his punches in a while. But anyway. Right, so... yeah, how Tony loses. Like, he's obviously got an aggressive style, and that's why he can walk onto punches. His hands are low when he's throwing his teeps. So if someone, dodges the teep or just sweeps it to the side and then starts throwing like a straight right down the pipe, like it could catch him because his hands are very low when he's throwing the kicks. His opponents can pass his guard due to his, submission attempts. Like, he's pretty good at getting his guard back, but still, like, if he goes for a hasty triangle, that's what I was scared about when he was matched up against Khabib. Like, he goes for the hasty triangle, Khabib just passes the guard, gets inside control, and, gets like a crucifix position or some shit. Also, Tony telegraphs his shots pretty well. Well, pretty badly sometimes. So he can walk onto like reactive double legs. He'll also lean back when he's trying to evade strikes in the pocket. And that's not good. That can get you caught. That's what got James Vick caught when he was near the fence. How Justin Gaethje loses, he sets a pace in the first 2 rounds that he cannot keep for 25 minutes. So that's about 50 significant strikes a round. That's when he starts fading after the 3rd round. So if the pace is higher than that, which it will be in the Tony Ferguson fight, he pretty much starts gassing after 1.5 rounds. He's also, just got terrible pacing. Saw that in the Alvarez fight, like after about a round and a bit, he started gassing because he went really hard in the first round, and I don't even know if he won the first round, to be honest. Also, when he stands up tall to get breath back, to get air back into his lungs, his body is wide open. I can see Tony definitely exploiting that. And that brings us to our path to victory for Tony Ferguson. Let's say, work the body, especially when he shells up. Watch for the overhand right or the right hook when he is shelling up. But obviously work the body, get out of there, in and out. Don't let him rest. Don't let him catch his breath. Just kind of stay on him constantly. Constantly switch stances just so he can't time the leg kicks or enter range with different stances. So you're obviously not taking too much damage to that one leg, and also he doesn't know, he can't time his leg kicks as well. Keep popping the jab, just kind of mark up Gaethje's face. He kind of just eats jabs sometimes, like he'll just kind of eat it, because it's easier than just covering up. Or just keep the pressure on. Obviously try and check leg kicks if possible. I know it's not exactly part of your game, but just try and check those leg kicks. Also when Gaethje is covering up, maybe try a snap down into a DAS straight away. If he's covering up for long periods of time, that probably indicates that he is tired, so you could probably lock in that DAS, no problem. Path to victory for Justin Gaethje. Back up a step back up just when Tony Ferguson's like entering the pocket. So you can actually like time a leg kick, or you can, make sure he walks onto it. So just, take a step back and then time the leg kick. Or when he pops the jab out, throw the leg kick out. Either that or the stiff jab when Tony closes the distance, stiff jab, and then maybe follow it up with something if you see it working and you see him like reacting a certain way to it. Obviously pace yourself, but throw volume leg kicks early. Counter teeps with your So as I was saying before, yeah, counter teeps. So when Tony throws the teeps or the kicks with his hands down, just look for the counter. Look for any potential options. Maybe try and sweep it to the side so he's in range, in your range instead of Tony's range. And then yeah, look for the counter with the right hand. And if Tony pulls guard for any reason, just that awkward position where you stand up, start kicking the legs when Tony's trying to invite you into his guard, because there's no crowd. Normally the crowd will be booing in that situation just immediately, and the ref just kind of stands it up pretty promptly. But in this situation, there's going to be no ref. There's going to be no crowd to boo. Theoretically, you could just sit there kicking Tony's legs for a whole round if he pulls guard, and the ref hasn't really got anything to do if you keep throwing volume at his legs. But anyway, we'll go down to how I see it going. So this is just the ultimatum, pretty much. The ultimate. Alright, so yeah. So this fight is hard to call. It's hard to bet. It's hard to bet on. Hard to be confident in somebody. I do think Tony should win. Just on paper, he should win. It's just going to be scary watching it. And the first 2.5 rounds are probably going to be a big sweat for Tony bettors. Justin is a really bad matchup for Tony over 2 rounds. And then after 2 rounds, Tony's a nightmare matchup for Justin. So, yeah, it's just how you see it going. Obviously, I think Tony's going to survive the 2 rounds that Justin's going to put him through, that high pace. Maybe Justin even starts pressuring for a little bit, but the leg kicks are going to be a serious problem, I think. That's the only concern I have, is that leg kick damage, if that accumulates and then starts carrying over to later rounds, and maybe Tony's less mobile, and then Justin doesn't need to, Justin can be gassed and also keep a decent pace because he's just winging out his arms pretty much, because both fighters aren't really moving around the canvas. So obviously the leg kicks and counter hooks will be open all night for Justin, but yeah, after that really, he can only do that for about 10 minutes at Tony's pace, or at Tony's, because Tony's not going to slow down, so those punches are going to get slower. Tony's going to see him, start slipping them, and then countering to the body or something like that. So that's going to be something to watch out for. The first 10 minutes is those right hooks in the pocket from Justin, and also those leg kicks if they start accumulating. After that, Tony will start opening up, kind of framing off elbows, start doing lead elbows, snap downs, teeps, body jabs, body straights. Could be a live bet opportunity if Justin has Tony in trouble early. Maybe he dropped him early, got a 10-9 round, but could have been a 10-8. Maybe Justin has Tony in trouble early, but his leg's not, too compromised from the leg kicks. Then maybe that's a live bet opportunity for Tony, because the late rounds are just going to get ugly. They might be 10-8s. The last 2 rounds are probably going to be 10-8 Tony. So you can kind of count on that later. Whereas in the moment, it kind of seems like Tony is in a bit of trouble, but in reality, in the long run, he's probably going to start laying the volume on Justin later on and start getting those 10-8 rounds back. So that's a live bet opportunity if Justin hurts him in the first round. Obviously, if he's getting real successful with the leg kicks, and then Tony's showing physical pain, physical damage, and physical, you can actually, tangibly see it, then, see him actually, physically limping, you know what I mean? Not just, or it's a red mark on the side of his leg, but he's actually it's tangibly limping. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, I think Tony does get the submission, kind of snaps him down later on. Maybe 4th or 5th round, snaps him down, gets the DAS in. So Tony by sub is the prediction. But honestly, it's just gonna be too sweaty for me to bet him at $1.60. Maybe if he gets at $1.70, $1.75, that's when I'd start betting him. Honestly, I capped this fight at about 60 to 40% for Tony. So Justin Gaethje, I think he's just in that mark. So I kind of bet him at Bet365 at $2.62 because I thought, we'll see how it goes over the first 2 rounds, and then maybe I can make that money back on live bet if they give me Tony at juicy odds. So it's just gonna have a feel. I didn't go big on it. We're just gonna see what happens over the first 2 rounds. It's gonna be an interesting fight. It's gonna be an awesome fight. So we'll see how it goes. But if Tony gets to like 170, it's probably 2 to 3 units on that. If he gets to 180, it's probably all systems go, and I'll probably lay like 5 to 10 units on that. But we'll see how we go because it's gonna be a great fight. But we'll see how it goes. I'm keen to have fights back on. It's going to be awesome. It's a great card. And we'll see you guys next time.